You lay out 3 traits of ultra successful people.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're yours or if you read them somewhere. This is
not mine.
so brilliant. And when you said it, you put words to something that I have felt for a very long time.
Yeah.
If you don't remember them, I have them here. But if you remember
I remember them, yes. And so there's 3 traits that people, then they looked at, because they were trying to find habits of highly successful people. And when they actually pulled apart, it's not, and I hope I'm not contradicting anything. But there's people who are really rich who wake up really late and work really late. And there's people really rich who wake up really, really early. And there's people who are really rich who eat really healthy. And there's people really rich who drink Coca-Cola and eat French fries every day. And so there's all these things that we want to make as truths, but there's easy examples that counter those things. So it's like, what are the few things that are true, or at least that seem to be present in all of the situations? And it seems as though there were surprisingly few. And so the 3 common traits that they had found were, 1, that people have a superiority complex. They believe they're better than others, and they believe that they deserve more than everyone else does, and that they can accomplish big goals, right? So they have a bigger vision because they believe they deserve it, or whatever it is, that they were able to identify that. The second thing that they were able to identify is that they had crippling insecurity, and which is a paradox of paradoxes. They feel they'll never be enough, and they'll always be measured against the things that they've achieved. And so you've got this crazy dynamic between they think they're better than everyone, they think they deserve more, they want to go after this big hill, and at the same time, they fear they'll never be good enough, they'll never actually achieve it, and they actually suck. And then the third piece, which kind of adds the beautiful mix of this, is impulse control. Yeah. And so they're able to control their actions and focus on a single thing for an extended period of time. And so if you put those 3 things together, it's like you've got a big goal that's pulling you this way. You've got this big fear that you are running away from, and then you've got impulse control to keep you focused on the one thing that matters.
Yes.
And if you do that, if you are the type of person who has those traits, then you are very likely to be successful.
You gave me the chills twice while you were explaining that. So I'm often asked hey, what does it take to be successful, or how did I get successful? And I'm like, from the time I was a little kid, so I grew up lower middle class, but from the time I was a kid, I told everybody, I am going to be rich. You don't understand. I'm going to be rich. I was so angered by not being able to get the things that I wanted as a kid. And I had a little problem with authority. And so I felt like I was being told that I had this box to stay in. I was like, no. I'd always had these crazy dreams, and I just believed I could make it come true.
Yeah.
But I'm terrifyingly insecure that I'm not smart enough to pull it off. Yeah. And I have something I need to prove to myself, to my wife, my father-in-law, my own parents. No matter how much I achieve, I still have this. Right? So I have this crushing need to validate myself and to feel like, no, you really did have it, kid. Yeah. But I am psychotic at my ability to delay gratification. Yeah. I can suffer and toil and grind and just I don't need to eat the marshmallow for 100 years, right? Which is stupid in some ways. But you put those 3 things together, and you just go and go and go. Yeah. It's really, again, my chills.
I got you. So to the marshmallow point, because I think this is really interesting, and I don't think it's talked about enough, which is they like to separate the kids into the 2 buckets, right? The kid who waits for 2 marshmallows and the kid who just says, I want the marshmallow now. But I feel like they should have a 3rd bucket, which says, how long do they ask the kid to wait for the marshmallow, right? Because it's not, do you have, because I like to think of things in a lot of times we have false dichotomies, or we have binaries where we're good or bad, disciplined or undisciplined, I'm honest or dishonest, right? When I think more reality is, to what degree am I honest? To what extent am I disciplined? To what degree am I, loyal, right?
Oh God, there's a whole conversation there. Yeah.
And so I think that each of those 3 traits that we just went over, it's not, do I have them or not, for the people who are listening? Because people like to think, yes, I have it, or oh, well, I have all 3 of those. It's not having them. And I'm sure you've interviewed some of the most successful people on the planet. It's how much do you have? Yeah. Right? And so I think that your ability to delay gratification, it's not just oh, I can wait a week or I can wait a month. But I made this tweet that went pretty viral. And it was if you can wait a year, you can make a ton of money. If you can do something for 12 months, you can not need for financial goodness pretty much for the rest of your life. I'm not saying you're going to be hella rich. Right. But you're not going to need for anything if you can wait 12 months. If you can wait a decade, you're going to be above the 1%. If you can wait 10 years for an outcome, be able to do the doing without seeing the result for 10 years, you will be able to be above most achievement of most people. And if you can wait a lifetime, and you don't even need to see the result of your doing this, even while you are alive, but know that it may get done after you pass, then I believe that you can change the world. And I mean that. And so I think that if people can just extend the time horizon that they're measuring themselves on, they can just do so much more. I mean, you've probably heard the Bill Gates quote where he says, people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in a decade. I think it's the same thing, just continue to draw it out. And I think as we've been able to, achieve more leverage and make more money, et cetera, my horizon has extended. And when I listen to the people who I want to emulate, I can almost tell by the measurement of money that they talk about and the measurement of time that they discuss how successful they are or how successful I think they're going to be. Like if I talk to a 25-year-old and he's talking about what he wants to do in 2 decades and his whole plan of what he's going to do, as long as he's not just blowing smoke because he's heard an interview from me, then I'm like, this kid's got it. He gets it. He gets it. And most people just don't think they can't wait 90 days. Most people can't even wait a month, right? They start a diet and 14 days later they don't have a six-pack and they can't wait. But like if you do a year, you can look whatever way you want for the most part, by and large. And if you wait a year for the ability to learn how to sell, you wait a year for the ability to learn how to market, wait a year just providing value to a group of people for free and then delaying your ask, you can do whatever you want.